Hello and welcome to Fantasy Premier League, the D Unit's journey. I'm the FPL D Unit, and today we are doing a Haaland special. The Norwegian King, fresh off a hat-trick, might I add, in the Nations League against Kazakhstan of all places. He does feast on inferior opposition. Unfortunately, we haven't seen that over the last couple of weeks. This is why this has become such a poignant issue moving towards Game Week 12 deadline. Now, a lot of people are on wildcard, so including me, and a lot of people are actually selling him because he's already dropped from 15.3 down to 15.2, and he's on track to drop to 15.1 by the end of tomorrow or today, depending on how many more people sell him. And look, now I'm kind of tempted because I sold him when he was at 15.4 for 15, so I made 0.2 mil. So in theory, if I bought him back at 15.1, I've actually made 0.3 million on him, which is mad. But with that being said, Erling Haaland is in a conundrum that is affecting many people. Now, in order to understand the importance of the man, I want to take you back to my Game Week 1 squad. And in Game Week 1, I scored 80 points, and I had both Erling Haaland and Mo Salah. And I had no Cole Palmer, no Saka or anything like that. I actually had Jacob Murphy and Kulusevski in my midfield. And they both got me 1 point each. So you can imagine how well that went. So without further ado, let's get into it and have a look at what I actually got. So 80 points. As you can see here, when Salah and Haaland are both scoring in the first 4 weeks here on average, I think they delivered in every game week. I think they returned in every game week. Mo Salah might have missed one. Might have been the Nottingham Forest game. But look, as you can see here, you're getting 35 points from the two there. I picked the right captain choice that week. The second week, I get 80 points again. Again, almost all my points, in fact, more than half of them are from the two players, Mo Salah and Erling Haaland. 44 points combined that week. I got the captaincy choice right again, thankfully. But I just want to point out that, the rest of my team aren't doing very well. So Chris Wood here was cost 6 million at the time, and Isaac was costing me 8.5. And they combined for 3 points. And then Jacob Murphy obviously was spudding it up like he did in every one of the games I had him for, unfortunately. But you can see there that, I'm getting the points, even though like my other players, I'd spent a bit of money on, hadn't been getting me anything. In Game Week 3, I got 91, my best score of the season. Again, Mo Salah and Erling Haaland. Didn't matter who you picked captain that week. They both got 17 points. 51 points combined. Like that's more than half my score again from just those two players. Again, you can see there that Isaac and Wood obviously did very well that game week, but Kulusevski, Diego Jota, Smith Rowe all sputtered it up, as did Pedro Porro, might I add. So I just want to have a look as we continue forward here. So Game Week 4, we go here, and it was a slightly lower scoring game week because I got the captaincy choice wrong the next 2 weeks. I should have put it on Haaland. I went with Salah. That was unfortunate. And this could happen. And you obviously got a lot of budget tied up in this. Now, Game Week 5, they were both sort of semi-scored half decently. It was a difference of 3 points. Haaland 9, Mo Salah 6, doubled. I got the captaincy choice wrong again in Game Week 5. It sucked. Game Week 6, again, I got the captaincy choice wrong. This was the start of Erling Haaland's really pathetic patch, which is why, me and a lot of other people have actually sold him, because this is when all the people that didn't have him started bringing him in, and he started spudding it up because everyone bought him in. So then, as you can see there, again, this is when I sold Salah for Palmer, which wasn't a very smart decision because Salah's been on a bender ever since. And then I made the mistake of bringing him, I had to make the mistake or owning the mistake of actually bringing him back in. So again here, Haaland actually scored this 1 week, so that was okay. But the Game Week 9 was the last one. And in Game Week 10, I went through. Salah came back in. But as you can see there, Palmer hasn't been setting the world on fire. So, there is a world where maybe, you can still have Haaland, and maybe the best draft is actually the Haaland-Salah draft. But with the fixtures coming up, you would suggest that Cole Palmer is about to start popping off. And in Game Week 11, from Game Week 12 onwards, which was where we're in now, you would think that that's probably likely to happen. So, with that being said, what I want to quickly look at here is the overall points. So I'm at the top 169,000 at the moment. But if we go to the actual, where is it? Overall, I just want to take you through this bloke's team here. So the bloke at the top, as you can see there, he doesn't have Haaland. And if you go back, He doesn't have Haaland. If you go back to game week 9, doesn't have Haaland. You see what I'm saying here? Like, he's at the top and he's sitting on 827 points overall. That's insane. That is so good. Again, no Haaland there. Game week 7, no Haaland. Game week 6, no Haaland. Game week 5, no Haaland. Game week 4, no Haaland. Game week 3, no Haaland. He's been doing well to get these amount of points without Haaland in his draft. And then obviously game week 1, he played bench boost, but no Haaland again. So the person that's rated top in the world, he hasn't even played any of his chips other than the bench boost in the first game week, which is quite an intelligent time to play it, really, because you know everyone's going to be playing, generally speaking, that plays there. He's on 827 points. In comparison, I'm on 692, and I've had Haaland. I think I've almost answered my own damn question there, right there and then. Maybe the better option is to actually just spread your money around. I mean, to catch that bloke, I've got to get an extra 135 points. That's insane. I'm not going to do that. I can't believe how far in front he is. He's only played the one chip. Maybe he's going to wildcard this week and bring in Haaland and go against the grain. I'm not sure. But look, let's just have a look at what I'm actually talking about here. So this is the money, what I would wildcard this week. This is one of the options with the money spread around the rest of my squad. Now here, obviously, I'm relying on the strategy of double Arsenal and double Liverpool defence, which would, in theory, potentially get me 24 points at a minimum on a game week where both teams keep clean sheets, which is quite a lot. That's going to outscore Haaland. Even if I have Haaland captain, the only way that doesn't outscore Haaland is if he scores a hat-trick. And then obviously he'll actually cover their points. Now, obviously, if I had 4 lower defenders, which we're going to talk about in slightly, you know, you'd still probably get 8 points, which is still a gap of 16 points in your defense by spending the extra money in your defense. Now, as you can see here in this draft, I've got Mo Salah and Cole Palmer, and they have fantastic fixtures, and arguably they are the 2 best captain choices for pretty much the next 10 weeks, irrespective of what Haaland's got. All right, so that's something to keep in mind. Obviously, Cole Palmer's still got a yellow flag. He'll be fine. He was eating McDonald's the other day. If it was circulating around on social media. If he's eating McDonald's, he's fit. Look, and they're both great captain choices, and you would expect them to deliver bulk points. And I just think that the double up clean sheet where you can actually get 24 points from your defense is definitely going to help you get reasonable scores and hopefully chew into that bloke's lead at the top of the table. Because he also is not having Haaland, which means he's also doing some similar things. Now, obviously, Isaac is the premium forward here, and obviously that is in relation to be able to get Haaland in. And the thing is that these budget forwards, which is what you'll be investing in without Haaland, have been doing super well on average. Like Cunha's total points for the season is 59. Haaland's is 83, 82 or 83. We'll double check that in a second. Whereas even Isaac, who's had an indifferent season, has got 47. Well, it's almost half of what Haaland's got. Pedro obviously has only got 30. But then I just don't know. I'm not sure. So then the Haaland draft. And if you want to check out these drafts in proper detail, me explaining them and going through the different points, check out my wildcard draft video I released yesterday. And if you're new around here, please press the subscribe button and like the video, because hopefully I'm providing you with some interesting thoughts for what you'd want to do. So this is a completely different draft. Now, you can see here I'm 0.1 under, but that is because Haaland hasn't dropped. But as soon as he hits 15.1, I can afford this draft on wildcard. Now, the thing that you've got to take into consideration, I believe, and as I said at the start of the season, I actually think that if I just left Mo Salah and Erling Haaland in my teams, I'd be sitting pretty happy right now. I think on that average, it would have been better than trading for Cole Palmer, and I would have saved a couple of -4s in there as well, and I'd probably be within 100 points of that bloke that is sitting at the top. I'd still be behind him, but that's probably... So look, as you can see here, I've got 5 budget defenders, and obviously Anderson's like the real budget one with Hall 4.3s, and Kirk is there's 4.4, and Verbruggen obviously is in goal, but the Brighton run of fixtures is super good. So you would expect him to be keeping some clean sheets. If not, he's also going to be getting some save points because Brighton do concede some chances. And I feel like the way the defending has been this season, maybe the smart option is actually just not to spend up on it. and actually go a budget mode like this. So then you can whack in an extra premium. And like, it's obviously a little bit of strategy. Like in the other draft, I'll just quickly revert back to it now. There's going to be good players left on the bench every single game week. Like you could get the bench wrong every single week and potentially have like 12, 14 points stuck on the bench. I don't know if that's something you want. Like, forgive me if I'm wrong, but like it's super frustrating. I mean, when I've got it wrong this season, I've really disliked seeing points left on the bench. It's the most infuriating thing about FPL is getting the selections wrong. And whereas this week, this particular squad, I would have to think about a lot more. Whereas in the Haaland draft, you're not really thinking about it. The only selection, well, you are thinking about it. You're going to have to rotate your defenders every week based on the fixtures. But you know 100% you're always going to play Haaland. You're always going to play Salah. You're always going to play Fernandes. You're always going to play Palmer. You're always probably going to play Mbeumo and whoever he becomes when the fixture run changes. And then it's just a matter of tossing up between Ahmad, João Pedro and Cunha. You're only going to be leaving a small amount of money on your bench every single week. I'm not sure. I'm intrigued to know which draft, let me know in the comments, that you think would score more points. Is it the one with Erling Haaland in it, or is it the one without? Now, the bloke that's leading fantasy will tell you that it's minus Erling Haaland. However, I dare say he wasn't leading the competition in the first 5 weeks when Haaland was popping off. So, I don't know. What is the correct strategy? I'm not really 100% sure. Is it spreading your money around your entire team and then relying on, defenders to actually keep clean sheets and potentially get you bonus points? Or do you just fully invest in the attack and get in your uber premiums with like Salah, Haaland, Palmer? I mean, if you really wanted to get technical, you could even drop an Mbeumo down to a Semenyo, and you could get Fernandes up to Saka. And you could actually have all 4, which is insane. You could actually have a draft with Haaland, Salah, Palmer, and Saka. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, because the stats are there. And like, people sit there and talk about Haaland like, oh, we can do without him. The numbers tell a story, but they don't tell the full story. So he scored 2 goals in his last 6 weeks. That will not happen. You will not get 2 goals over 6 game weeks moving forward for Haaland unless he's injured. Like, it's just not going to happen. A more accurate reflection is the first 5 game weeks of the season where he scored 10 goals. And he had an XG that was high, but he was outperforming it massively. So like he scored 12 goals for the season now off an XG of 11 expected goals. He generally outperforms his XG by a lot more than what we're currently seeing. Like, he's obviously in front of it, but the last 6 weeks, he has massively underperformed. So Newcastle, he got 0.45 expected goals. Fulham, 0.25. Wolves, we're just going to ignore that. That was just a game where I'm not sure what was going on there. But then Southampton, he had 2.33 expected goals. That could easily have been a hat-trick. Easily been a hat-trick and another 17 points in that game. Bournemouth, 0.88. That really shouldn't have been a blank. And obviously Brighton, 1.38 expected goals, and he only got 1 goal. And, he's been missing big chances, which is very unusual for Erling Haaland. But I don't think that is likely to continue. And I think that potentially it's going to turn around and we're going to see more of what we saw in the first 4 or 5 weeks. And let's be honest, other than the Liverpool game in game week 13, which is coming up, which, does concern you a bit, the rest of the games have got no problem with him in. I think he's going to, especially from game week 18 through to 22, I think he's going to be the best scoring player in the game between that period of time. And for me, it's much easier to have him in your team than to try and get him back in, if that makes sense. It's much easier to get rid if it doesn't work out. So, for example, I really like him at Spurs this week. They're at home. They're back off the international break. Spurs are probably going to be without Mickey van der Ven and Christian Romero, and they don't keep clean sheets anyway, which means that the odds of Erling Haaland scoring multiple goals in this game are pretty damn high, I reckon. And he's fresh off a hat-trick against Kazakhstan in the Nations League. There's a lot there to like and get excited about. And I just think that maybe that's, I think that the draft with Haaland, I know your money is all tied up in these players or whatever, but maybe it is actually the correct play. Maybe it is. I just think that, there's definitely points to be had there. And, as I said, there's even a way where you can get Saka, Palmer, Salah, and Haaland in. You can have the 4 big premiums all in one team. It's actually doable. Is it going to get you more points? I'm not sure. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Which is he going to get back to his normal form that we've come to expect of Erling Haaland, where he just dominates and you just have to have him in your team? I mean, so many people wildcard in game week 6 to get him into their teams, right? Or in game week 3 and 4 to get him into his teams when he was popping off and going ham. I just think that if you get the balance of the team right, and as I said here in this draft, all your defenders are all capable of scoring points. They're all capable of keeping clean sheets. They don't play in in the Ipswiches and whatever. That like when they're on form, like Nori is probably plays in the worst defense out of these 5 teams, but his attacking returns, you wouldn't hesitate to play him. Lewis Hall obviously has got a really good run of fixtures for Newcastle coming up. Kirkes for Bournemouth and Veltman for Brighton. Those 3 teams in particular, they might be your 3 defenders moving forward. And then you're obviously playing your 4 midfielders, and Mbeumo, Palmer, Salah, and Bruno Fernandes. And then you just play your 3 forwards. Or you play Ahmad. If Ahmad pops off like I'm predicting, he really enables the Haaland draft. I just think it's something to throw out there. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm intrigued to know. I am leaning more towards putting the Haaland draft in as my final draft. We will find out in my final thoughts video, and hopefully I'll have a confirmed team selection on the Friday. If not, I will be doing my draft and my team selection live in our deadline day stream on Saturday. I'll be being joined by Alan for that one, so make sure you keep that time free. And if you are on Wildcard, please bring your ideas as well, because I'm more than happy to listen to them, because I might even pick up a few of them up myself. But look, that has been the Haaland debate, the Haaland question. It's been there all season. It's because of the fact that he's priced at the price he is. It means that you have to skimp out on the rest of your team. But in reality, are the defenders worth the extra money? That is the question, because that's really where it's going to go. Or you just go with the 5 premium midfielders. Is that going to beat a Haaland draft? That is the question. I quite like this one. So, and check out the wildcard drafts. Let me know, because I made 5 of them, and they're all pretty damn good. But there's only one that contains Haaland, and that's this one here. And that's what it would be moving forward. That would be my confirmed team if I did go with the Haaland draft. All right, thanks for joining me. That has been FPL D Unit out. Thanks for joining me, and make sure you like that video before you leave.